us. We're here together. Kristie's here. This is the women's game. We are live. It is just minutes after the final whistle of the USA versus Australia game at the 2024 Paris Olympics, in which the US beat Australia 2-1 with goals from Trinity Rodman and Corbin Albert. What a game. Honestly, it started kind of slow, but it picked up in the second half and turned into kind of nail-biter at the end. I am so relieved because the U.S. team is good. We won. We are through. We got 3 wins in the group stage. We got all 9 points. We're on to the quarterfinals against Japan on Saturday. Today was another solid performance. We are going to break down this performance. We are going to go through the whole game. But first, let me properly introduce my co-host today. It's my sister. It's our resident Australia expert, Kristie Mewis. Thank you so much for joining me again.
Of course. I'm so happy to be here.
I saw some people in the comments saying, don't worry, they were just late starting live because Kristie had to do her login. And I have to report everybody, Kristie's been logged in quicker than me on all of our recordings so far, much to everybody's surprise.
Yes, but I did have to, I needed help with attaching my AirPods to my computer, I will admit. And I still don't know how to do that at 33.
That's tough to hear. And did Sam Kerr come and help you with that one?
Yes, she did.
Oh,
that's the sweetest. Nice. She's the technical one in this pair.
Well, good. Well, hopefully she knows she can pop her little head in here at any time. I know that everybody's probably looking forward to that. Kristie, so before we dive into the game, we need to know what it was like for you and your fiance, Sam Kerr. You guys live together in London. Sam Kerr is the all-time top goal scorer for Australia, but she's injured right now. So neither of you were playing for your national teams, Sam for Australia or you for the US, but you watched the game together in your living room. How was it emotionally in there? Was there any fighting back and forth? Like, how did you guys experience the game?
Honestly, it was pretty chill. Like, I feel like maybe that's not what everybody wants to hear, but it actually was very chill. We made a nice dinner. We made some Mexican. We made like all these like homemade salsas and guac, and we had like a nice little night in front of the TV. And I mean, the game, honestly, it wasn't really that exciting until, like you said, the very end. So it wasn't really like we weren't like waiting for something to happen. It was kind of like a boring start. But it ended up being a decent ending, and I'm obviously happy that the US won. And I guess we'll wait and see what happens with Australia for the next game, because I think that's like they can go through if Canada loses. Yeah. Okay.
Well, we're going to get way more into some implications for the other groups later, because some games are going on right now. There's a bunch of stuff happening. But first, what we're going to do, we're going to break down this US game. Again, we are live. This is just moments after the final whistle. We're reacting in real time. This is a Do It Live. It is presented by our great friends at Olipop. I'm having a lemon lime today. This means you can ask us questions about football. You can ask us questions about life. You can ask Kristie questions about London. Here's how. Just scan that QR code in the top left of your screen. It's going to take you into a Zoom with our producer, Tony, who's an Arsenal fan. He's going to get you set up to ask your question. It is audio only, so don't be afraid. You're not going to be on screen. We're going to get to those questions a little bit later in the broadcast, but go ahead and get in line now to make sure you get yours in there. We have not had time to get to everybody, so first come, first serve if your question is good. For those of you who don't want to ask a question, just do us a huge favor. Give us a like. If you haven't already, also click that subscribe button and join us on the Women's Game YouTube channel, where we have all of our Women's Game Olympic coverage dropping around each and every U.S. Women's National Team game. Turn those notifications on and get an alert every time we go live. I see some of you in the chat already. Let's see.
Sam, you need to take a breath. Your cheeks are getting red.
Somebody just asked Kristie, can you speak only in your Boston accent? That's from Amanda Simons.
Yeah, I'll do my best for the rest of the podcast.
All right, perfect. Julian said, let's go mom and mom. What do you think about that one?
Us, mom and mom?
I guess.
Maybe someday.
Okay, thanks, Julian. All right, here we go. We're going to get to your questions in just a few minutes. But Kristie, we're diving into the game. First things first, I was a little bit surprised that we stuck with the same lineup. Part of me thought that Emma Hayes might decide to rest some starters for the quarterfinal, like rest them today. But she kind of just came out yelling 9 points or bust, baby. The only change was that Emily Sonnet started for injured Tierna Davidson. Do you think this was like a statement by Emma? Like, we don't need to rest because we're here to rage?
Yes, because I don't know if I necessarily agree with resting players. I feel like if they're kind of like rolling and it's going well, like why would you take them out? And I feel like there's just like the chemistry is building and it's just getting better and better. So I kind of am leaning more towards like why would you switch it up when it's going so well? And like it's the Olympics, like you kind of just have to like suck it up and get the job done. Like there's no being tired.
Yeah.
So I just think it's like I think it's like a cool thing that she did that and still having the game changers come in and
Yep.
make a huge impact in the game. So I like the decision. I think that that group is playing really well together, and I think that she should just keep doing it.
Yeah, I do feel like it was like kind of a vote of confidence to just be like, we don't need to rest. Like it's 6 games, we're just doing it. Um, I think there are some potential implications to that, considering Sam Coffey and Trinity Rodman came into this game on a yellow card, and then kind of immediately Sam Coffey gets another yellow card, which means she'll miss the quarterfinal game. And as Julie Foudy actually put it on the commentary, is the risk of starting and players play like the risk of starting Sam Coffey, who's on a yellow, and playing her in this game and deciding to not rest her or maybe be safe on that yellow card is that now she's missing this quarterfinal game. So some solutions for that. If Tierna is back healthy, then Tierna can go back to center back. Sonnet can play the 6. Or Corbin Albert, who scored a goal today, she could play in the midfield. Or if Jaden Shaw is healthy, then she could play the 10 and Lindsay could play the 6. As we saw today, Corey Bethune came on the field. She was playing, I think, more like left wing, but we know that she could play in the midfield too. So there are lots of solutions for this missing of Sam Coffey. I don't think that it was planned to be missing her, but which of these potential solutions do you think is the most likely?
Well, I think like yeah, you could have taken her out and rested her, but then you run the risk, right, of correct me if I'm wrong, but if she gets a yellow in the quarterfinals, does she then have to
I
miss
don't
the
know.
next one?
It might reset. We're probably going to have somebody look up that fact and
I
let us
swear I
know.
learn something new with soccer every single
I
day.
know.
Like I do not know the answer to this, and like every year when we do that meeting where we like go through like the new rules
I
and like
know.
the VAR and stuff, I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even know that like that was a rule." Like
I,
I literally learn something new every time, like I have no idea.
I know.
So,
I completely
does it
agree.
reset? Like can someone tell us? Like does it reset after that?
Someone in the chat is saying it resets. A couple people are saying it. Don't know how you guys looked that up, but somebody from our team might look that up and let us know in a couple of minutes. Kristie, of those potential solutions that I named for
Yeah.
lineup changes to make up for Sam not being there, what do you predict? Like, which do you think will happen?
Um I mean, I do like love having Sonnet on the field. Like I think that she does just bring like a confidence and an energy about her that is so infectious. So I feel like I would want her on the field. So maybe Sonnet as the 6 if Tierna is able to go. Um that's probably like what I would do, but what were the other options that you gave me?
Maybe Corbin, maybe Croy, maybe if Jaden is healthy and comes back. But I feel like Sonnet's played a lot so far this tournament. I think that's like a smart move.
Yeah.
The most
Yeah, I feel like
experience.
she's like she's already like on a roll. Like don't take her off now if you don't have
But
to.
that does require Tierna to come back healthy. So
Yeah.
we'll have to see what
Yeah.
happens next game. There were a few balls sent across the face of goal early on by the US in this game. We're obviously playing against a really low block defense. Australia starting out in that really, really deep 5-2-3, which was much more disciplined, much more organized start for Australia than we saw during their 6-5 goal fest game against Zambia. So I want to talk for a few minutes, Kristie, about how hard it is to break down a low block like this tactically. What was the US thinking about, focusing on, talking about to try to break through that low block?
Yeah, playing against a low block is like not fun. I mean, at least I don't think it's fun. It's hard. It's like it's hard to break it down. It's hard to like get it through anywhere down the middle. I think they just kind of like what was really good to see is how patient they were. Like I think
Mhm.
that they maybe knew that this was going to happen or this could be something that was going to happen. So like I didn't see like I didn't see like an overload of frustration or anything. I think they kind of expected it and they took their time and were patient, and then finally when they got an opportunity to score they did. But I think it was just about Naomi in the back like being patient, passing it around, trying to switch it as fast as they can, finding like little gaps and openings, and I think it obviously paid off in the end.
Yeah, for sure. We are getting word from our staff. Yellow cards do reset after the quarterfinals. Thank you, everybody, for helping with that. But
All right, let's
Kristie,
pretend we knew that. Let's
pretend
pretend
we
I
knew
knew
that all along. We did. We knew it all along. It was actually me who looked it up on the side. I agree, Kristie. Breaking down that low block is really hard to do. It requires like perfect technical execution and really good and really connected tactical awareness. So you need to have runs in behind to stretch the defense out. You need to have someone checking to the ball to pull defenders out of their shape. You need to stay wide enough that there's space, but not so wide that the ball takes forever to get out to you. Like there's so much to think about. The other really important part is you have to be on the same page as your teammate. So if we have a runner in behind, timing, looking for that run at the same time that you're making it, the same gap, like it's really hard to do for any team. Even Spain the other day really struggled against a low block against Nigeria, and they had to go figure utilize scoring on a set piece. And really, there are only a couple of ways to get on the score sheet against a low block. And I think that's transition moments, which we saw in the first half a little bit from the US, and set pieces. So what we ended up seeing, and we're going to get to the goal in just a few minutes, was us scoring off of a set piece. But first, I do want to talk about this game plan for Australia, kind of parking the bus. Like, if I was playing against the US, this is how I would play. I would force them to rely on individual brilliance in tight spaces and just hope for a transition moment myself. So I'm wondering, Kristie, I think it's safe to say the US team is in better form than Australia at the moment. Do you think there's any shame in parking the bus, or do you think it's like exactly the game plan that you would do because it's effective?
No, I don't think there's any shame in it at all. I think it's like an annoying thing to do, and I think that that's what Australia was trying to do. Like it's annoying, it's mentally draining. That's another thing I wanted to add is like it's
Yeah.
mentally draining to play against a low block, and like sometimes some teams can't handle it and they end up the team in the low block ends up getting the result that they want. And Australia is so good at transition. So
Hmm.
it kind of was a good plan for them, like be in a low block, but then transition out. And that is like literally one of the best things that like they are so good at that. It obviously didn't go their way, but they did look really, really organized in the beginning. And then I think it obviously just fell apart a little bit as they were, you know, getting a little bit desperate, trying to make opportunities happen and stuff like that. But I don't think there's any shame in it at all. I think the ideas were great, but obviously, I just think the U.S. is just like outrunning people right now.
Yeah, I agree. And we've both mentioned that it can be really frustrating to play against a low block like that. And it took us a while to score. And so I want to talk about that feeling as a player, especially on this US team. Like there is this feeling like we have to score, we have to score, we have to score. And so the longer that takes us and the more passes that go out of bounds or the more balls that go across the face of goal, the more chances that we don't score on, that frustration kind of piles up. And there's a tendency to start to rush it or force it or be a little bit impatient. I saw at a water break, Naomi Girma kind of raising her hands, lifting her hands up like this, saying, let's go, let's go, let's raise the energy. Naomi Girma, by the way, we have to mention this statistic. She completed 79 passes in the first half, which was 4 more than the entire Australia team. I got that stat from OptiJack. That's kind of an incredible statistic, but it just goes to show how much possession the US had and honestly how much Naomi and Emily Sonnet had the ball and had to just keep switching it side to side, retaining possession, kind of being patient. So, Kristie, talk as a player. You have total possession of the ball. You're completing all these passes, but you're just not scoring. What does that feel like?
I think it's like so hard to not get frustrated for sure. But again, it just shows like what a good like mental space that these girls are in. Like you can just like see it in the way that they're playing. Like they're not getting frustrated with each other. They're not getting as frustrated with themselves. They're they're just like, all right, next play. All right, next play. Like you can just see their heads just and their brains just kind of like spinning like, okay, it didn't work. Let's go this way. Okay, that didn't work. Let's do this. Like you can just tell that they're all like just getting on the same page and then they have this like confidence and like it's almost like they all feel so like secure with themselves and with each other. So it's just like they weren't getting discouraged. They were just like going one after another, after another, after another. Obviously, it was slow at times, but that's exactly what Australia wants. They want it to slow down, but then
Mhm.
exactly like Naomi was just like, let's go, like
Yeah.
let's speed it up. And I think that that infectious energy is like kind of taking over the team right now.
Yeah.
And all of them are doing it, like bits and pieces here and there. Like everybody is kind of like taking a turn to be like, oh, okay, like I'll raise the tempo now. Like it's my turn type of thing.
Totally. We have a great comment from Andis Brown in the chat that says, Germa is a warm blanket. You feel comfortable when she has the ball. I totally agree. I would
know.
like trust Naomi Germa with
She's
my life. Like she could like operate on me if she needed to. I'd be like, sure, you got it.
I know. She is unbelievable, honestly. She's like the most consistent defender I've seen in
Yeah.
a long time. Like she's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
And she's just as good defensively as on the ball, which is so rare and so special. I do want to go back to this low block against Australia. I remember last Olympics, specifically when we played Australia in the group stage, we ended up tying that game, feeling frustrated that we couldn't score, almost helpless. And there's this feeling like when you're given a game plan as a player, but it doesn't seem to be working, you want to like respect your staff and your coaches, and you want to respect your teammates by sticking to the game plan, staying as a midfielder in the right pockets, passing to the right spaces, making the right runs. But when it isn't working, you kind of feel like unsure if you can try something else. Like going rogue is only okay if it works. And if you go rogue and it messes up other players or it throws off like your teammates, it's pretty like unfair to your team. So I'm thinking just at the beginning of this Australia game, yeah, things were working. We were getting balls across the face of goal, but we hadn't scored yet. Is there a time, Kristie, to like go rogue or and trust your own instincts as to what the game needs from you? Or do you think it's better to like stick to the game plan and just stay patient?
It's like it is tough, especially like in this type of team environment because like the most important thing I think is trust, and that's like trust
Mm.
with your teammates and trust with the coaches. And like once that kind of gets like a little bit weird or a little bit like up and down type of thing, like that's when things can actually really fall apart. So it is tough. Like I honestly don't know. Like I think that there does come a point where you're like, this shit isn't working. Kind of like in the Germany Zambia. No, it was the Australia Zambia game. Like I feel like Australia was like struggling and they like kind of resorted to like what they're really good at and they ended
Mhm.
up winning the game 6-5. So it's like I feel like it's tough. Like, I feel like as a team, if you're just like, we got to just scrap that and just do what we know and like do what's going to work. Yes, if everyone's on the same page. But I think like once like here and there start to go a bit rogue, it gets
Yeah.
really tricky. So that's a tough one. I'm actually not really sure. It's just really hard.
I know. It is interesting because Australia again today had a game plan that was very clear. It must have changed when they got scored on because of course they had to come out and press for a goal and press higher. But it's almost that when Australia plays with that like desperation, like they did at the end,
Yeah.
they're so effective. So I guess from my perspective as like a former US national team player, it is different and it is more about trusting that game plan and trusting your connection with your teammates. And it did end up working out because we ended up scoring. Trinity Rodman pounced on a loose ball in the box following a corner kick. And to my point earlier, similar to Spain when they played against Nigeria, when you can't score in the run of play, you have to have that other layer where you can rely on your set piece ability to score. And this was not like I wouldn't call it a beautiful like set piece, but it worked and it counted and it's a goal and Trinity Rodman was there and it's incredible. I do want to talk about though, Kristie. There was this lengthy pause after the goal, and we're just speculating here. I don't know exactly what happened, but it seemed like VAR was checking if Sam Coffey was offside when the Sophia Smith headed the ball to Trinity Rodman to score, but that like the machine was broken. So the ref was like wandering around. He like listened to something on a headset. Then he told both coaches it was a goal. Then Tony Gustafsson, the Australian head coach, like obviously flipped out. So then the ref turned back around, gives Tony a yellow card. Then the ref goes and checks the goal on the monitor. Then he calls it a goal again. So it was just like really chaotic. Like, was VAR broken? Like, we don't really know. But these calls are always really hard for me because I think what the ref is determining is if Sam Coffey affected the play from an offside position. What was your take on that whole call and the VAR being broken? Like, what were you guys thinking about when that was happening?
Yeah, it was weird because I feel like I had to like just re-see it again as to why they were trying to get the offside call. And then obviously Coffee she is in an offside position and she's like kind of in the view of Mackenzie Arnold seeing the ball, but like, could she have gotten to that ball and like how much could she see? I think it was more so when Sophie Smith headed the ball down and then Coffee and I think it was like Claire Hunt were kind of like hovering around the ball, and that was the point where it was kind of like she was in an offside position and Mackenzie couldn't see it. So it was it's obviously tricky, but like of course like I wanted the US to win. So I was like, oh no, that of course that's a goal. Like she can see the ball. But like if it was the other way, like would I be fighting it and being like, oh no, like that was obviously offsides. Like it's so tricky when you're in that situation because like we all do it. Like when we're at training and stuff, like we'll tell a little white lie to win the game.
Well,
so I don't really know. It's tough.
Like, I think it's more like on those subjective calls, which is like, was she offside? Because she was, but it's like, was she affecting the play?
Yeah.
And that's subjective. And so then it's like, whenever there's a subjective call, like in practice or in a game like this, it's like, of course it depends what side of it you're on. Like you're always going to want the call to go for yourself. So if I was on the other side of this, would I be being like, of course she affected the play. She was right in front of the goalkeeper. Yeah, probably. But sometimes you win some, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. It could have gone either way, but like Sam, you're in the video. Do you want to come say hi since you're in the video? Sam's saying hi to you. Come here.
Sam Kerr, if you're listening to this on audio, Sam Kerr is in the mirror and she's popping her little head in to say hello. Hi, Sammy.
I know she wants to be in it because she keeps hiding in the mirror.
Well, she's being mute.
She's like, I'm living in my life.
No, just let you live your life, SK. Kristie, another thing I'm going to bring back up is we had better set piece delivery this game. I think we've been frustratingly like barren on set pieces lately, but Rose whipping them in today was starting to cause some more trouble. We end up scoring that Trinity Rodman goal. The second phase was dangerous. We had this 1 second phase, which is like, second phase is when the ball kind of gets played out and then you reserve it. It's like the second wave of the attack off of the set piece where Emily Fox kind of played a ball into Lindsay Horan, who almost scored, and Mackenzie Arnold hit it up off the crossbar. I will say our set pieces were better. Australia, I can't say that they've been top class at the moment in defending set pieces, but Kristie, what I want to hear from you is how important set pieces are in a world tournament. Like, how much will a team turn to these moments when they're having trouble scoring in the run of play?
Yeah, I mean, set pieces like win tournaments and lose tournaments. So I feel like they are so much more important than I think like people let on. They can literally lose you a game, win you a game, win you a tournament, lose you a tournament. Like they are so important. And there's like, I don't know the exact percentage, but there's like some crazy percentage about like how many goals actually start from a set piece. And a set piece can even be like a throw in, like a defensive throw in, like so many lead to goals, offensive throw ins, like it all starts from a set piece. So I feel like in that moment in the game, it's just so important. Again, like I said in our podcast earlier this week, it's just like, it's who is more focused in that moment. And like focus is just so important. Obviously, like there's unlucky bounces, there's all different types of things that can happen. But I just think that like the team who has the ultimate focus, the entire 100 minutes is the team that's going to win the tournament, because it's just, you can't win it just in the run of play. Set pieces are so important.
Yeah, I totally agree. I actually think what's super interesting about what you just said is you said a defensive throw in is like an opportunity to score a goal. And I know that we both were trained that way on the U.S. women's national team, that if you set up perfectly in your structure in when the other team is throwing the ball in and you win the ball back in transition out of that moment, that's actually a goal scoring opportunity. And tell us a little bit more about that, like how much we trained them, how important they were, how they would get shown, like just talk to us about, they'd get shown on film all the time, like great transition moment off a defensive throw in. Like it's such a dangerous moment.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't believe it until I saw it on all the clips. Like I think I was probably a little bit more new to it than you because you had seen it before, but I was new to it. And once I saw it, I was like, holy shit. Like I had no idea. And like, there were just so many clips with like that we would watch over and over and over again. Like I probably have them memorized of like a defensive throw in, like us winning the ball back, making 2 passes and then scoring, or
Yep.
on us doing a quick attacking throw, Pino's specialty, just like down the line, cross finish.
Yep.
Like so many clips we saw like that. So we trained it so much just to try to perfect that offensively and defensively. And it was like a whole nother practice. Like we
Yeah.
would have like normal practice and then we would have
Set
throw in
piece
practice, set piece
Yeah.
practice. And it was a lot. And it did get really like intense because you get like so worked up for it because it was
Yeah.
like such a big thing with us. But it actually really does change the game. And I think it changes how you also see the rest of the game. You kind of like it almost like trains your brain to see everything as an opportunity.
Yeah.
Whereas like other teams might snooze in those moments. Like I think that is something that is so ingrained inside of me now that I don't know. I don't think other people think like that.
I like totally agree with you. That's why the set piece goal by Trinity Rodman going into halftime was so important. We go into halftime up 1-0, kind of knowing now as fans, Australia's going to have to come out and play a little bit differently, open up the game, get more pressure on the ball, come out of that really low block, try to create some chances of their own because they really wanted and needed to get a point out of this game to better their chances of going through. They still can go through, but we'll see what happens. Some substitutions that happened at halftime. Jenna Neiswanger came on at halftime for Crystal Dunn at left back. We did see Australia pressing much higher. Right away, we almost had a Naomi Girma goal, which, I mean, everybody would have just rioted and flipped out. Like, it would have been so awesome. She had such an incredible strike from outside the box. Then some more substitutions came in around the 65th minute, including Lynn Williams for Trinity Rodman, Rose Lavelle came off for Corbin Albert to come on, and then Casey Kruger came on for Emily Fox. I want to talk about Lynn for a few minutes, Kristie. First of all, tell us what you think about the leg sleeve. Wearing blue today.
I know. We didn't get to talk about Lynn in the last podcast, and I was sad.
Here's our chance.
I know. I think it's so cute, honestly, and I love how many different colors that she has. And I feel like it's kind of like her thing now. Like maybe it's like a luck thing, or it's just like it keeps her. Like I feel like sometimes like we do things to just like make our brains turn on. Like maybe it's just something that makes her feel good. But I love it. She's so cute. And it literally makes me like, I smile ear to ear when she's coming on or when she does anything. Like it literally warms my heart when she goes in, or like the other day when she scored, like, I think I almost started crying because she's just like an angel and like deserves the world. And she's one of those people. I think I was saying it to Sam. It's like, she's one of those people who like, she deserves everything that she gets because of like how hard she works and how like she's such a good teammate, such a good person, and like she works so hard and like rarely gets discouraged or like negative. And I just think that like good things come to people like that. And I think
I completely agree with you. We have a hilarious comment from Hepolo that says live, laugh, leg sleeve. And like, I need that tattooed. I completely agree, Kristie. Lynn does deserve all of her success. I want to give you one more opportunity to talk about her from the perspective of like, she was named as an alternate. And this happened to Lynn in 2021 too. Lynn was named to the Olympic team as an alternate. In 2021, she ended up making the roster of 22 when the roster got expanded for COVID. This time, she ended up making the roster when Kat Macario got injured. Now, Lynn has played in every game. She scored a goal. Talk about her role on the team. Like, why is having somebody like Lynn who accepts her role, but also does everything she can to get more time and get more minutes and get more eyes on her? Like, why is that role on this team so important? Why do you need players who aren't starting to push like that?
I mean, I could like talk about Lynn on the stuff that she does on the field all day. I mean, she is like a goal scoring machine. She's so fast. She defensively like works her ass off. Like I could talk all day about the things that she does on the field, but I also just think you like have to take her because of her off the field stuff too. Like she's such a like warm presence and like
Mhm.
she always has your back. She's a good friend. She's a great teammate. She's a leader on that team. Now she's one of I think maybe she's probably one of the older players.
Yeah.
Um, but I just feel like when Kat got injured and you look at the other players, like you can't not take Lynn. Like
Yeah.
you can't like she is just she's going to help you win, like no matter what. Not saying that the other players can't, of course, but Lynn is just someone that you want on your team because of she's the whole package.
Yeah.
So I just think that like yes, she's an incredible player. And like she's that player that you like you're a defender and Lynn's coming on in the 70th minute and you're like, oh my God, like get me off this field now. Like I'm injured type of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I
if you
would have
see
loved
her
that.
coming on, like, oh my God, I would just sit
I
down.
know. Can you
I would honestly
imagine?
sit down. Yeah. But then it's for me, it's just like the off the field stuff. And like, she makes everybody feel good
Yeah.
around her. Just everything like that.
Yeah. Lynn, we love Lynn.
We love Lynn. This is a Lynn Williams podcast.
Live, laugh, legs, leave, Lynn. It should be Lynn. It should be Lynn, laugh, legs, leave.
Love you.
Lynn, laugh, legs, leave, love
See,
you.
love you.
Okay, so now Lynn's on the field. All is right in the world. A little bit later in the game, in the 77th minute, Corbin Albert scored a really great goal from distance, putting the US up 2-0. That was her first international goal. Came at a pretty clutch time, sealing this game off for the US, or so we thought. Shortly after, we saw Croy Bethune make her Olympic debut. Croy Bethune is having like the most incredible rookie season in the NWSL for the Washington Spirit. She's subbed on, I think, out wide at like left wing for Mal Swanson. Sophia Smith had her miraculous double post shot that somehow didn't go in. Like, what was up with that? She like shot it. It went off Alana Kennedy a little bit and then it hit the near post, then it hit the far post, and then it didn't go in. And it's just like, come on.
I know that sucked because it was like such a good. It was like such a one thing that Soph Smith does is her quick shot is like I've never seen anything like it, honestly.
I know.
Like she can get her shot off in like a split second.
Mhm.
That's like what is separating her right now is like she can take one touch around you and then it's like she's already like the shot's already happening.
And it's power. Like there's power behind the shot for such a quick release, which is really crazy. That would have like really sealed the deal. It started feeling for a minute like the game was just slipping away from Australia. But then in stoppage time, they kind of like changed it around a little bit. Alana Kennedy got a goal back after Michelle Heyman headed it down to her in the box. It was a really great finish, and she almost made it too just seconds after that. Stoppage time was very like what we talked about in the podcast, Kristie, never say die, typical Australia. And it almost worked. They almost got those goals back and ended up with a tie and a point like they needed. What was your house like in those dying moments, Kristie? Were you guys like standing up? Was there yelling? Like, was it exciting? What was going on?
I mean, it definitely got like more heated, like we were sitting up a bit more, yeah. But once Australia made some subs, I think the subs like really made a huge impact. They kind of like when Emily Van Egmond came on, and Michelle Heyman came on, they kind of changed the game and they were more attacking. They were kind of going after a bit more. I know that they like needed to score and they were pushing for it. But I think maybe if they started doing that a little bit earlier, like the game ending might have been a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, they started to kind of really like turn it up and the subs did make a difference. What was the question again?
It was just like what was it like in your
I
house?
Sidetracked. Oh,
that's okay.
Yeah, it was.
We're just having fun here.
Yeah,
we're just hanging out.
Yeah, we were just like hanging out and watch. I mean, it did get a little more intense, but we didn't really like jump. No, we were just like, oh my God, wow, like what a goal. And then the next chance happened. Like we were very chill today, honestly. Like I think.
Well, that's great, girls.
Yeah,
we were
chill. Yeah, obviously I mean, we'll see what happens with Australia, but
yeah,
we were chilling, having a good time.
One more thing I wanted to mention about us not having Tierna Davidson right now is just the lack of that kind of height in the back line. I noticed particularly when Alana Kennedy got sent forward, Emily Van Egmond, she's get sent forward, Michelle Heyman is tall. Like those 50-50 balls in the box on like crosses and just like bouncing balls around just become a little bit more of a vulnerability for us. I noticed that right at the end of the game. So that's something to think about moving forward. Not to worry, though. The U.S. ended up getting all 9 points out of the group stage, scored 9 goals in the process. Pretty incredible. That's the most goals in an Olympics group stage in program history. Certainly setting us up to go into the quarterfinals confident. Australia lose this game, and they will await anxiously to see how Canada does. And that game is going on right now. Kristie, this is a tough question for you, but do you think Australia deserved to go through based on their performances, 2 losses, 1 crazy win against Zambia? Or do you think Canada deserves to go through, considering what they've done to maybe come back from a 6-point deficit after their drone situation? Or do you think Canada should go home because of the drone situation? Do you have a hot take on this?
Oh, this is another like hard question.
I know.
I mean,
do you want me to go first?
Yeah, I do. Do you want to go first?
I guess. I mean, it's like, look, I guess, do I think anybody inherently deserves to go through or not? It's like points. So it's like, I have a ton of respect for these Canadian players, not really for the federation, for the players, for fighting through adversity and like trauma to grind out these wins. If they can go through on points after losing 6 points, I feel like that's a really, really impressive thing for them to get done. I think Australia are better than they've shown, and what will be will be.
So you didn't really choose. You just kind of just like beat around the bush.
I mean,
with all of it,
if
which is
I,
exactly what I was going to do.
If
too.
I have to
It's
choose,
fun.
it's just hard because it's like I feel for and respect the Canadian players, but do I think that their federation deserves this to go
Yeah,
through? No, but
and they won
it's
the last one, so it's like, come on,
it's like
you know.
give somebody else a chance.
Yeah, like you guys. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it's
guys
tough.
had your chance.
It's tough. Speak to Australia a little bit though. Do you think their performances warrant them going through?
No, obviously not. Like I mean, I think that they all know that they have not put in like a good group stage performance at all. But I do love watching Australia play. So they are so exciting, and I mean, they're kind of like, you can't not love them. You know, you can't not like root for them a bit. And like
Mhm.
obviously I'm a little bit biased, but like you can't not like want to watch them and just like cheer for them. And like they work so hard and they have like so much passion. Like that's one thing that they have, like so much pride and so much passion. It's so like fun and exciting to watch them. So I think I would probably choose them and want them to go through. But it is really, really cool what Canada is doing right now. And it's going to be interesting. Is it halftime right now? Yeah, I
I
think
think
it's
I saw in the
halftime.
chat it's halftime and it's maybe tied 0-0. Canada's playing Colombia. We're going to talk about that more in a little bit. One more thing on Australia before we move on. Julie Foudy said in the commentary in the first half that the World Cup being played last year in Australia and New Zealand was very much like the Matildas, which is the Australian team's nickname. It was kind of like their 99ers moment, like hosting a home World Cup, having the crowd behind them, having all that energy from just being home and playing in such a big tournament. You were there, you played for the US team, and then you stayed and you watched more of Sam's game after the US got out. Did it feel like that when you were there? Like, what has Sam Kerr, not Sam Mewis, said about the impact of having that tournament on home soil, particularly as Australia went so far in the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, it was so incredible to see, like kind of like what I was just saying before. It's just like the whole country was behind them, and it was like the whole country just like erupted about the Matildas. Like say, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think any of the girls could like walk down the street without getting yelled at or noticed or like asked for a photograph or an autograph. It was just like mayhem, but it was so cool to see. And I think that it like really brought to light like the special things that they're doing for the sport and for the country and for women.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's only getting better and better. And I think that World Cup for them was so important to kind of show what they can do. I think they were loved before that, but they are
Mhm.
like, it is so cool how much their country is behind them and how kind of popular they are now. but yeah, it was really, really cool to see, like, me being there and being able to experience it with Sam and her family. It was really awesome, and it was such a great experience for me.
Well, that's amazing. So we'll see in about, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour, if Australia will go through to the quarterfinals, or maybe it will be Canada, maybe it will be Brazil. Two of the third place teams are going through. I'm not sure if I got that exactly right. In the rest of the tournament, earlier, we saw Japan beat Nigeria, and Brazil lose 2-0 to Spain. Heartbreakingly, Marta was given a straight red card in what potentially could have been her last Olympic and international game for Brazil. It's not set in stone, so we'll see. I literally was like, I would have volunteered as tribute to take that away from her and let her keep playing. I feel like Marta has done so much for this game, and I hope we get to see her again. So Group C, which arguably was one of, if not the hardest group in this tournament, finished up with Spain and Japan definitely going through to the quarterfinal. Brazil is in third. We're going to have to wait until after these Group A games wrap up right now to find out who of those third place teams will be going through. Will Brazil's 3 points and 0 goal differential be enough to send them through? We do not know. Kristie, do you have any opinions on that?
I wasn't really listening to what you said.
Great. I'm going to move on. And we're about to get to everybody's questions. Kristie, we'll have to listen to those. So the other game in Group B, Germany beat Zambia 4-1 with 2 goals from Leah Schuler. So the U.S. and Germany are through from Group B. Australia are crossing their fingers, and Zambia, sadly, despite scoring six goals, is that right? Across the group stage, will be heading home. I really feel for Zambia. I wonder if these women were even given the proper chance to succeed. Their head coach is currently under a sexual assault investigation. And it seems to me like something that these governing bodies should have taken a lot more seriously than they've been taking, like this drone gate situation, which has caused a media friendly. It's been the topic of almost all of our Olympics conversations, but it's baffling to me that there has been less talk about Zambia's head coach being currently under a sexual assault investigation. I hope that these organizations can figure that out and take the proper action steps. Canada's fate will be decided shortly, as they are currently playing for their lives against Colombia. It is tied 0-0 at halftime. We have that update. While France is playing New Zealand, currently tied 1-1 at halftime. Go on, football ferns. You can do it. But Canada has a chance of going through if they win. So we'll get back to those games soon if there's any updates. Kristie, any other thoughts from the games today? Did anything stand out to you? Are you going to turn one of them on once we wrap up here? Is one already on in the corner? I see that it's getting dark.
Yes, I have one on in the corner. It's getting very dark. Should I turn a light on?
Potentially turn a light on, but potentially turn a light
on. Thank you. Yeah, I obviously, I was in and out for the Brazil-Spain game. But I'm looking forward to watching the second half of this game and see if there's any score here. What was the game like, Sam? Or what was the half like? I'm trying to include her.
That's so nice.
What was the half like? Did you watch?
Kristie watches football and goes to the bathroom in the extra time.
That's what
type of fan she is. She's like gets up and goes to the bathroom.
No, I have a
confession.
Time. I missed the Alana, the second when she almost scored.
And she's like, "Tell me what happened." I'm like, "No, you go to the bathroom at the wrong time. You're a terrible fan."
Well, to be fair,
we
also knew that we had this show, so like you have to go to the bathroom at some point.
I know. I feel like
Sam, what happened?
I'm not like fully I feel like you're so up to date with everything. Like I haven't even processed. Like, how do you process this so quickly and then write it down? Are you writing it down as you're watching? Like
it's all in here, Kristie.
Any of it.
It's all in here.
Oh yeah. Like I don't know yet.
All in here.
Yeah, I'm really just focused on the game that just happened, and I don't know what you're talking about with the rest of it. I need to watch the highlights and stuff.
Yeah. That's a good idea. I do have people helping me keep track of these things, but yeah, got to keep it locked down. Okay, we've reached the part of the show where we get to hear from you, our beautiful, beautiful listeners. To join us here live on YouTube, just scan the QR code in the top left of your screen, or you can click on the pinned comment in the chat. It's going to take you into a Zoom with our producer who can tell you everything you need to know. Do not worry. You will not appear on screen. If you don't want to ask a question, just give us a like, please. It really helps us more than you know. We can keep bringing you incredible content like this. Okay, on to the questions. When I say your name, take yourself off mute, tell us where you're from, and then ask your question. Up first, we have a question from Miriam. Hello, Miriam. Could you take yourself off mute?
I'm off. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, we can.
Hi.
Hello. Hi. And Kristie, I have to say, my wife, who is Kiwi and a very new football fan, asked me if we could go as you and Sammy K for Halloween this year. And I have just never been prouder in my life.
Oh my God, that is so cute. Will you like take a picture and then send it to us? Like I would love to see that.
Absolutely.
What like outfits are you gonna do? Just like the uniforms?
Oh, we gotta. I reckon we'll do the national team jerseys. I think.
Oh, good.
Maybe
Okay.
Maybe we'll get her a Chelsea jersey.
Oh,
Or
that's
we
so
could
cute.
we could try some of your iconic outfits. Oh my God, the cat.
I know. Sorry, Helen wanted to say hi.
Hi, Helen.
Miriam's and her wife are gonna be us for Halloween.
Oh,
Okay.
Sam's coming back.
She like doesn't know that we can see what everything that she's doing in the mirror.
Yeah, if you're listening to this on audio later, Sam is in the mirror, so she thinks she's out of screen, but she's not.
Yeah.
Okay, Miriam, I heard that you have a question about chewing gum.
Yes. I always see players chewing gum, and what is the science of that? Because I feel like I would choke. Like,
oh my God,
have you guys ever used it or done it?
Can we actually talk about that? Because I was thinking that.
Yes, thank you.
I was thinking that when I don't know how Trinity does it. She chews gum all game. And like I've obviously seen her do it a million times, but I'm like, aren't you tired? Like I feel like I can't breathe when I have gum in my mouth.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
I don't know how she does it.
Gum like makes you salivate, and then you have to swallow. And when you're out of breath, it like that takes too much away from your breathing. So I could never chew gum while I was playing, but I did have a listener on Friendlies on our regular weekly podcast. Everybody, if you're not subscribed to the podcast, what's it called? Feed, then please subscribe to it and you can get all these episodes. And Alyssa said that what she does when she chews gum is that she's like, if I find myself chewing too long, I realize I haven't said anything. So it's like this like reminder for Alyssa to communicate.
Remember that.
Isn't that so interesting?
Yeah, I like that from Alyssa. She does need to tell herself to speak. So that's a pretty good way of doing it.
Me too, girl. Me too.
I know. Miriam, this was such a great question. Thank you so much for calling in, and we're
excited you guys so much.
Your Halloween pictures.
Yes,
please
I'll send all the pictures.
Okay.
Thank you.
Miriam, that was incredible. Okay, up next we have Corsi. Corsi, take yourself off mute. Tell us where you're from, and then ask your question.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Corsi, and I'm from Chicago. And my question is, what is your guys' favorite snacks to keep in the hotel room when you're traveling for away games?
Ooh. That's a good one. Kristie,
that is a good one. I feel like I can't travel without chocolate. Like I always have chocolate in my bag. I feel like I like need chocolate after every meal. Like I'm in a good place right now with it, but I have been in really bad places before where I'm like having chocolate after breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I definitely don't travel without chocolate. And then something like salty, like maybe like some chips or pretzels, something like that, something salty, and then always chocolate.
Yeah. For sure. Oftentimes, like, it's actually hard to like pack snacks, like, especially if you're going with the national team and you're going to be in the hotel for like a week and a half. I feel like it's not like you can like bring them. So you actually rely on the team to provide them. And there's always like a snack room where you can go and get like apples and bananas or like pretzels or like peanut butter and jelly. Right.
Yeah.
But I agree about the chocolate, Kristie. I just today, like when the Mewis sisters get chocolate cravings, like I was so desperate today. I melted chocolate chips in a plastic bowl in the microwave and dipped my pretzels in them.
Oh,
because I just needed
so
chocolate
good.
and I was like, what else am I going to do?
No, I mean, that was like very desperate of you, but like I would have done the same thing. Chocolate is a must. What's yours? What's your favorite?
I love chocolate, so anything chocolate for sure. And then like you, Kristie, I like anything salty, so like chips. I'm a big chip girl.
Yeah, you got to have both.
Chips.
Yeah, you have to have both. You can't just have one or the other. Yeah.
Chips is just the play. Corsi, thank you so much for calling in. We'll talk about snacks anytime. We are going to take one more question from Paige. Paige, can you take yourself off mute and tell us where you're from?
Hello, Mewis sisters.
Hello.
My name is Paige. I'm
Hi.
from Portland.
Cool.
Very nice.
So my question is about Lynn.
Our girl.
So
this
we've
is a
obviously-
Lynn podcast, a Lynn Williams podcast.
It is. So we've obviously seen Lynn making a statement with her leg sleeves. So my question pertains, do you know how many colors of leg sleeves Lynn has packed? Are we going to see any patterns? And is Lynn going to like bust out like a gold leg sleeve for the gold medal match?
Really good question, Paige. So I actually think, I hate to just burst everybody's creativity bubble here, but I think the leg sleeve has to be a certain color code in accordance with the shorts. I think there's like a rule, like you can't have compression shorts a different color than your shorts. And I think that the leg sleeve, those rules must apply to that too. Kristie, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I don't think she can probably wear patterns. Like, I don't know if she would or not, but I don't think she can. I think it has to be like whatever the referee or whatever like the rule book says about it, just because it is like a full leg sleeve. Yeah, it's the color of the shorts. Sam said.
So
Sam
unfortunately,
just wants to be in this podcast. Do you want to jump in?
No, but
Do you want to go grab your computer and you can come in?
I know what you're talking about.
maybe Sam can jump in next time. That would be great for me personally. Paige, that was such a great question. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all we have time for today, unfortunately, but thank you all so much for calling in. We appreciate it more than you know. If we didn't get to you, please just give us a like, and we just love you so much. So, Kristie, we know that we're playing on Saturday against Japan. I think it's at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Pretty tough draw, if you ask me, for this U.S. team that got all 9 points in the group stage, but I guess that's just the Olympics for you. But, like, come on, Japan is, like, hard. Japan
If they had came in second, who would it have been?
I don't know, but somebody from the women's game will type that in a moment maybe and tell me. But we also might not know yet because not all the games are done. Japan has been pretty solid this tournament. They did lose to Spain, but they had an incredible comeback win against Brazil, and they had a victory over Nigeria. So they've looked dangerous, if not necessarily playing to their full potential yet, but it's definitely a tough opponent for us. Is there anything that you'll look for in this game, Kristie?
I mean, it's just like, it's the Olympics. There's less teams. So I feel like there's no real easy team to go up against. Like,
we are
Japan
getting,
is always tough, though.
We are also getting news that if we came in second, we would have played Spain. So I'd rather play Japan.
I know. It's like, you can't really you can't choose at this stage. Like, every team here is good now. And it's obviously like a good thing, but it's just like, pick your poison, Japan or Spain in the quarterfinals. Like, how?
That's really, really hard. But back to Japan, is anything specific about this Japanese team that you'll look for? Any interesting matchups?
I can't really think of anything specifically right now, but I think Japan is always so tough to play against. Like, they are so, so good and so hard to play against. Like, they're smart, they're quick, they're like energetic. They like sneak behind you and like they're so good. I think it's going to be a really good matchup and I'm really excited to watch, but I don't have anything specific for you just yet.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we are going to be dropping a pregame podcast before that game with Becky Sauerbrunn and then going live immediately after the final whistle of that game. But that just about does it for us here for this Do It Live. Kristie, last question before we let you go. We need a couple of quarterfinal predictions. Can the U.S. beat Japan?
Yes.
You heard it here first, everybody. Yes. Make sure. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here. This was really, really fun today. Kristie, thank you. Make sure, everybody, you're subscribed to this Women's Game YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our other content. All of our podcasts are available on here. We are dropping that pregame podcast that's going to come out on Friday. It's with Becky Sauerbrunn ahead of the U.S. Women's National Team's quarterfinal game of the Olympics, which is on Saturday against Japan. Then we are going live after that game. You can follow along with us so you don't miss anything across all of our social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Threads at Women's Game MIB. Kristie, You're like kind of the MVP of coming and being a co-host with me. Thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome, sister. Anything for you.
Okay,
It's past my bedtime too. You're lucky that I'm still awake. It's
I'm
9:09.
I'm so grateful. You go to bed. Love you so much. I'm Sam
Thank
Mewis.
you.
That's Kristie Mewis. This is the women's game. Thanks everybody for being here with us. Go USA.